Matt and I are out this morning trying to hurry and beat the rain, and right when I say that, I see raindrops, so I'm not sure we're going to beat the rain. We've got a lot of things we want to do preparing for the storm. By the time you see this, the storm would have already come through here, and whatever is going to happen will have happened. We wanted to harvest some of the last stuff in the garden because we're supposed to get so much rain. But the main thing first we've got to do is Matt's got to go cut down a tree. Actually, cut it up, I guess, is the better phrase.
It's already down.
It's already down. Probably, what has that been, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
We did have a little storm that brought some wind and just a tiny bit of rain, and it blew over one of the trees behind Corey and Austin's house. And once it blew down, you could see the bottom was just rotted. That's why it blew over. What kind is it?
It's a maple.
A maple, pretty big maple. But where it blew over, there's no hurry to get it other than it's laying in the creek.
It's laying in the creek.
And so with all this rain coming, we want to make sure the creek is clear so that the water can just go right down the creek and not, if that was to divert it into Corey and Austin's backyard and into their house.
Yeah.
So I never thought of that. I would have never thought of it in a million years. None of us did, except Big Daddy here. He's thinking about it and worrying about the rain that we're going to get, and he said we've got to get that tree out. And of course, Austin's at work today, or he would be here helping Matt, but he's already left to go to work, so we're going to go down there and work on that first, even though it's already starting to sprinkle, and then hopefully we can get the tomatoes and the beans and the other things that we wanted to get. Matt's studying about how best to cut the tree. This was a little area, my brother Steve, you can see these little rocks that lead down, kind of a little walkway down to the creek, and there's right where Matt's standing there, a little fire pit, really beautiful little area. And that big tree was pretty too, but you can see how dead it is on the inside, and that big wind just took it down. So he'll have to do a lot more cutting, but he's got the worst part over with. Now we got to get it all out of the creek. And if you're thinking he should have safety glasses on and he should have chaps on and he should have protective gear, you're right. But, to each his own. Matt has to do what he does. But yes, definitely, if you're going to use a chainsaw, you ought to do all that. We advise it. Was that a nail?
No, it's a rock.
A rock, oh. I thought I seen sparks. I thought there must have been a nail in the tree. You're going to have to sharpen.
I trashed it.
I thought Matt hit a nail or something in the tree because I seen sparks, but he said it was just hitting a rock in the creek. Now he's going to have to try to work on it a little.
And that tooth. Yeah.
You can see that they're wore down.
You know, it just damaged them. It curled them. Curled that one, and that one, and that one. When I went to make that next cut, it wouldn't even go in it.
You're gonna have to go get another saw.
No, I'm just gonna have to sharpen this and try to fix that.
It's got one side resharpened. Now he's got to do the other.
I think what I'll do is that right there.
Matt's gonna try it out and see how if it's sharpening helped anything. The creek is really low right now because of it being so dry. So normally it's a much larger creek than this, even if you're, not under a rainstorm, rain event. But it's really, really down right now, which I guess that's a good thing. If we're gonna get that tremendous amount of rain, at least it's not already full. There's the one piece left of the big maple that fell. Matt'll have to get it. And there's a little bit of it back there behind it. I'm not sure if he'll get that or leave it where it's at. We hate the tree fell, but we'll be able to use all of it for firewood. So that'll be good. Matt's still working on his saw so that he can finish up that job. I come up into the front of Corey and Austin's yard. There's that wonderful crabapple tree back there, and I'm going to harvest some of the little crab apples. My sister-in-law Kim and brother Steve, they planted that tree ages and ages ago. It makes wonderful jelly. Made jelly with it before. Kim mostly made the jelly though with it. She would make it. It was delicious, and she would share it with all of us. But this year, I think I'm going to try to get as many of them as I can. I may have to come back and get Matt to help me get some of those tall, some of the ones that's up high, or shake the tree for me so they fall off. I definitely want to get some to make some jelly. That would be great. But I would love to try making applesauce with them, or maybe even apple butter, just to see how that turned out. They are if you've never had a crab apple before, they're really small, and they're very, very tart. So they're not good just to eat out of hand, in other words, unless you just really like tartness, and I don't. I like my apples to be really sweet. But they are, they're small, but they're really great for, like I said, things like jelly. So I'm wondering if they wouldn't just be as good for applesauce. And I've seen, I did a quick internet search and seen a lot of people do use them for that. So maybe I'll try my hand at that this year. So we ended up with about half a bushel. There's still more on the tree, so might be something we think about coming back and getting later, but at least we got these before the storm arrived. Looks a lot better. Matt was able to clear the creek so the water will have free passage to go on down the road if we do get all that rain they're saying we will. And we got some firewood, which is a bonus since the tree fell. Oh, that was great. We couldn't have orchestrated that, could we? We'll come back and get the firewood at a later date. We're gonna hurry home now that we've got the crab apples and got this took care of. We've got the creek cleared there, and see if we can get in the beans and the tomatoes. Next on our list before the storm gets here is to look at the beans. We need to pick these beans, and then to go around and pick all the tomatoes that's left. There's not that many. Won't take long to do that. Really won't take that long to do the beans. And I think that's about all, Matt. Is that all?
I think so.
We could always cut the okra, but that's like an everyday job, so we're not as concerned about it as we are the tomatoes and the beans here. Think that'll get it?
That's about all I got left.
Matt's tired out from the tree, so that's about all he's got left.
We never picked beans this time of year, have we?
No, not like this.
Not that I can remember.
I mean, you know, there might be 2 or 3 left here and there, or a few, but not this pretty. We got all the beans picked, and you can hear thunder in a minute. Probably we've been hearing it. I don't know if you've heard it or not. And we're going to try to hurry up and do the butter beans and the tomatoes, because I guess we're running out of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cucumbers are still kind of looking pitiful, but there's me a cucumber. Got one little one. Looks like there's another. Maybe that rain will give them a new life. I don't know. And one more. And here's one tiny one, but I'm going to go ahead and get it. If I can get a hold of it. A little bitty one. I'll leave that little tiny one though. So I think I can for sure say I've never picked cucumbers in September. And this is the end of September about it, so that's pretty amazing. So we ended up with about half a bushel of beans. That's the rattlesnake beans and the other 2 varieties. I'll put my cucumbers in there. Look at that pretty leaf that's just fell on my bucket. Isn't that beautiful? This was probably enough beans for us to can, which would be really, really nice. Matt stopped out here and I could tell he was looking at something. I thought, oh, he's seen a snake. There's a snake crawling around, but it's not. It's a spider wrapping up a grasshopper. As he stopped because he knows we're watching.
Probably felt that.
He was just going to town, wrapping him up. Poor grasshopper. Such is the way of the world, though. There he goes. What a beautiful spider, though.
I think he was busy injecting his victim.
Oh, he was injecting the poor grasshopper. You can see the grasshopper still moving. There's hardly any tomatoes left down here at the lower part. There's not many up there either, but down here we've even pulled up some of the plants. There are some orange tomatoes though we can get, and I see 1 or 2 red ones that we can go ahead and pick. Matt went to get us another bucket. Well, we ended up with a few tomatoes and some peppers, a lot of tomatoes down in there too. Hooray, we got it all done.
Yeah.
I didn't think we would, because especially when the thunder started. We accomplished almost everything we wanted to do.
What else do you want to do?
Well, I mean, just if the storm really does look like it's going to be as bad as it says it's going to be, our power will likely go off, so we would need to get water.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If it, of course, when me and Matt's filming this, it's prior to anything from the storm actually happening. That thunder is just some scattered thunderstorms, I guess you would say, a front moving across the United States. Is that what it is, or something? So,
yeah.
Anyway, so we don't know yet. It'll be another day or so before we know about the hurricane. What's the name of it?
Helene.
Helene.
Mm-hmm.
Comes your cat to see what's going on.
We're doing bankers.
So it looks like we're going to get a tremendous amount of rain. Makes me think of the song Poor Man, you know. He prayed for rain and because his corn and taters wouldn't grow, and then along come a great big flood and washed everything away.
Yeah.
mostly if a hurricane affects us, that's what it is a lot of rain.
We ain't had much effect off any of them in recent times,
In a
have
long
we?
time, yeah. And a lot of times they say we will get, like even this recent storm, we was going to get a lot of rain and we didn't. So sometimes that happens. When it comes inland, it decides to go one way or the other and doesn't ever really affect us. So, but sometimes, amazing, it's bad anytime there's storm damage. I feel so bad for the people that's suffering, that will have suffered by now. I know there'll be storm damage, and I'm sorry for them and pray for them. But it's crazy to me that something that starts like that way out in the ocean can come and it's one thing. I mean, it is still, you could say the same thing, that it impacts Florida or South Carolina, depending on which way it's coming, South Carolina or Georgia, North Carolina, the coast, or the Gulf, or Texas. But it is amazing when the wind stays with it and it comes as far inland as we are.
Yeah.
And that has happened before. I think it was but the year before I was pregnant with Corey and Katie. Actually, the year I got pregnant with them. Me and Matt was married and we were living with Pap and Granny. And what was the name of that? Was it Opal, maybe?
I think so.
Opal. And it was a storm, and I can't even remember the damage that it did on its way here, but a lot of damage. But then here, even right here in Brasstown, it blew down trees. It was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a tremendous amount of trees blown down, and I didn't really realize how much until I got off up the mountain. I think I don't know what I was doing. I was up in there, and I was on one side of the mountain where I could look across the valley where the creek and everything is onto the other side of the mountain. I could just see hundreds of trees all laid over the same way. And then in years after that, up in there trying to hunt, trying to navigate all that was bad.
Yeah.
But you don't. Most of the sign of that's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
But now that's been, what was it, 29 years ago?
Yeah, 29 years ago. I remember during that storm too, we had, the power was off for a long time, for several days.
Mm-hmm.
So if Matt and I do disappear, of course you wouldn't see this till it's too late, but that would be why if we disappear, the power's off for several days. Hopefully that won't happen, but that was a storm that did a tremendous amount of damage here, and not just here, but in other places, and on its way here, like I said.
It's just kind of shocking to us because that kind of damage makes it this far inland.
Mm-hmm.
Where it lands on the coast and everything's always way worse.
Oh,
know?
yeah.
But it's just weird that sometimes you get that damage this far in.
Mm-hmm. And it was just like a giant or something had pushed all the trees in one direction up through here.
I remember Hugo did that in the late 80s. It was pretty bad wind.
Mm-hmm.
It was sometime before mine and your union, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even know each other at that point, did we?
No.
But yeah, it was hurricane force winds here.
I have a Hugo Heroes t-shirt. If you watch all our videos, you've probably seen it because I wear it fairly often. And it come from Matt's family. Matt's cousin Terry give it to me a long, long time ago. I've had it for years and years. I see sometimes pictures on my computer from where I was doing stuff on the blind pig and the Acorn, like way back before Pap died, in his big garden and places, and I've got that shirt on, so I've really got the worth out of it. But anyway, she lived much closer to where the damage would have been.
Mm-hmm.
So she probably did that to support the local people. I think it's a lineman or something on it that went and worked. And of course, they come from all over when that happens. It wasn't just those local people, but helping.
Right. That storm did a lot of damage too.
Dropping my popsicle.
They're eat.
I've already got crab apples. Some of them were mushy, and I've already got that all over me. Nice to get the tree cut up, just so Matt won't be worrying about that if we do get all that rain and the creek gets up.
I really didn't think that much about that until this morning when I got up, and I thought, that's got to get done. And this is the only time it's going to be to do it because it's going to begin raining here shortly, and then it's going to rain for days.
Yeah, we knew it needed to be. I mean, I don't know if Corey and Austin both was at home when it fell, or just Corey. I can't remember.
They were both home, I think.
So we knew it needed to be cut, and Austin and Matt was going to cut it together. You know, where it was laying, it wasn't hurting anything, so it could have laid there for a long time.
It just clicked in my mind that it was laying across the creek, and with that much rain, that creek has never been out of the banks around her house that I know of. But we don't get 10 inches of rain at one time either very often. There was some storm back in the early 90s, you remember? That was pretty bad, and a lot of flooding around here. And the creek got real high. And I remember we walked back there.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was right at the top, but it never came out.
And it was just rolling. I mean,
yeah, I mean you could literally from up here, you could hear the big rocks rolling, hear them clunking in the creek, and we've heard that several times, but especially that time. Yeah. But we've never seen it out anywhere in this holler that I've ever seen.
No.
So I'm hoping that it stays that way.
Right.
Maybe it will. I mean, I don't think there's not really any danger of much damage down there, I don't think. But you still don't want water slapping up against your house.
Right, it'd be more of that kind of damage, not that it would...
water getting under the house.
Would be like it could wash away or anything, just that it would might damage,
Water getting under it and setting under it would be bad for the duct system and all that stuff, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't.
Yeah.
At this point, it's going to do what it's going to do, and we can't stop it.
No. Good Lord's in charge.
Right.
Austin will be missing. He already knows about it now, of course, but he will be wishing he was here to help because he likes to do stuff like that.
And they still got smart of cutting and all that stuff to be done down there, so he can get in on that part of it.
And he's very handy.
Oh, yeah.
He does
the best part about him is he's very young.
Yeah, that part helps. Yeah, we put Corey and Katie out there to work if they wasn't managing babies.
Yeah.
They've always been really good to help us. They always have been. But of course now they've got their hands full, literally, with the little sweet boys.
Yep. I can tell one thing: I'm not really cut out to run that big saw anymore.
Getting too old to run it.
Well, I can run it for a little while and be fine, but then I just peter out quick, I guess.
Get tired easier.
I don't know.
I get tired easier too.
I can bounce back from it fairly quickly sometimes, but I don't know.
What I've learned is I've never been one, I want to just go at something like fighting fire. So I don't like to stop and rest or stop and drink water or anything. I just want to keep going. That's how I've been all my life. I've realized now if you stop and take a minute's rest and drink some water and just take a moment to get your breath, then you can do more. But if I just do that like I've done in the past, then I just pretty much have to go to bed.
You want to just keep going and going and going until the ambulance gets
Yeah,
there.
right. Yeah, that's about how it is. Yeah. That's how I've been all my life, though. But, I'm realizing as I get older, I do better if I pace myself, in other words.
Well, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I just go at stuff too hard and too quick because I want to get it done so we can move on to the next whatever.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
And it don't ever end. I don't know what my hurry is because there's always something waiting at the end of it.
Well, I think when you're just in the habit of it, before we would have said we're in a hurry because we've got limited time before we go back to work. And, and like our weekends was always, especially in the summer months, just marathons.
Yeah.
But now we don't, we're so blessed now that we don't have to do that. But I guess we're in the habit of still thinking like, we got to do it all and get it done.
We should probably gear it down a little.
Yeah, probably. I'm really amazed that what we harvested, those beans, I think that's enough for a cannon.
They did.
And the tomatoes and those cucumbers, it's so wonderful to have them this late in the year and to have them because of the dry weather, I think this set of beans, the rattlesnake beans, I swear have done better. Well, I know they have. They've done better than those first ones. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of the summer, we did have some rain, and then it must just have hit the plant cycle at the right time, because those beans just literally pretty much died on the
Yeah.
on the vine. I mean, on the
We got-
trellis, they just died out.
We got one picking off of them, but then there was no blooms
Yeah,
coming
they
behind
just
it.
died.
So we just dug them up and replanted, and then we've got 2 pickings off the replanting.
Yeah, and it's still been dry, but it somehow it must have just coincided with the wrong time for those first ones. I don't know.
Later.
But yeah, that's pretty amazing. So one of the reasons we wanted to harvest all that stuff is because it needed it, like the tomatoes and the beans needed picking, but also so that if it does rain, then we'll be inside, we can work on those things. A lot of the tomatoes, really, the rain would hurt them. They needed to be. I mean, they're more fragile, but those beans could have, and the crab apples could have stayed out there. It's not that that rain would have ruined them or anything like that, but it's just that it'll give us something to do if we are stuck in the house for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Well, if the power don't go off. We won't be doing much canning or anything if it does.
We could can on the...
We always do can on the camp shelf
Yeah,
out
we
here.
could can on it, but we'd still have to have water to
Water,
wash the
jars and all that. So we'll have to wait and see, but at least we've got it.
May have to send you to the creek with a raincoat to wash jars.
I know. I could do it, I guess. I might get them broke before I get them down there and back up here, but...
Got a standoff going out there.
What is it, 2 squirrels?
No, 1 squirrel and 1 black cat.
Oh.
See him down there?
Oh, yeah. Is that the squirrel fussing at him?
The squirrel sitting up there barking at him, yeah. I've never known of him to catch one, but that has never deterred him.
No, he's a fierce little cat.
I'm sure he's never caught one or he would have brought it to us.
Yeah.
He's brought in snakes and rats and voles and bugs and all kinds of stuff, but I've never seen him bring a squirrel.
There goes the squirrel. Gosh, how do they jump like that and land and acrobatics? I hope that you can hear him on the camera. He's going from tree to tree to tree. His beak's following, or...
No, he's still standing down there. I don't think he even realizes he left.
Oh.
But he may be after something else, I don't know.
The tractor sure made Matt's tree stuff easier. You pull those big logs out of the creek.
Yeah, it did.
That was nice. Made it easier on your back.
Yeah, I should have done them all that way. One of them I just went ahead and sawed up into firewood lengths and just carried them out a piece at a time. I should have left them all, but there's so very little room to turn and to work out there, so I didn't. And just barely enough for him to get that thing around the back of the house to get there.
Mm-hmm. We had an interesting question someone asked in a video in the last day or two. Something me and Matt don't ever think about, because this is the only way. I mean, we've only lived in the rural areas, you know, even when Matt was with Papa Tony and I was with Granny and Pap when we were growing up, we've only lived places where we had well water and septic, a private septic system. So this was someone that had moved to an area, and this is the first time. They've always lived in the city, so they were just asking questions. How do we manage that? As far as the well water, me and Matt are very, very lucky that we just have wonderful well water.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't filter it. We don't have to filter it or anything. Now, there are people in our area that have iron in their water, and they put a filter on it to take iron. It won't hurt you, right?
We've all got iron. Ours has iron.
Or what is it? What I'm thinking.
A lot of the ones around here have sulfur in
Sulfur. Okay, sorry, sulfur. So that wouldn't hurt you, but it
wouldn't hurt you. It's just
the
smells
smell
bad
and the
tastes
bad. So they would filter that out.
And then a lot of them have other things in them. I
Yeah,
don't really know
right.
a lot, but a lot of people have hard water or soft water, and they have systems to soften or harden the water.
Yeah. But
Things
we
like
don't.
that. No, ours is never.
We don't do that. And Granny Pap never had nothing like that. Other than, like, what's the little filter, like what it comes, that's probably for sediments and stuff,
Yeah, it's
though.
just a little sediment canister filter.
Other than that. But it probably just depends on if you move to a new house, you just have to find that out. And maybe they already had a system set up, and
Right.
maybe if they didn't, then maybe it's like a case like me and Matt that you wouldn't have to. Or if you are building a new house, then, I'm sure whoever drills if you have a well, whoever drills it could tell you, advise you on what you should do about that. But we had never had to have one, and Granny and Pap didn't either. I don't guess Papa Tony ever had no fancy system, did he?
No,
or did he?
Not
He
that
was
I'm aware
lucky
of.
to be in a place that didn't need it.
And I guess, people can, you can go and to your local health department and get a water
sample,
test sample and have it tested to see what's in it. But we never done that. We just always drank it, and we're still here. So apparently there's nothing too bad in it.
Yeah. When Pap got we had gravity water when I was growing up till I was in about the 8th grade, and so that just means water that come from way up the creek from a spring and then traveled in a black pipe all the way. The gravity helped it travel to our house and to our hot water heater and to the sinks and everything. But when I was in 8th grade, he decided he would have a well drilled, mostly because that gravity water, it wasn't that it didn't taste good. It did. It was wonderful.
It just works
And it was
you to
free,
death.
but it works you to death, keeping it going. If it gets stopped up, the spring needs to be cleaned out, and especially in the winter.
Freeze.
If you have cold winters, there's just no way to keep it from freezing. Even you can leave it on in the house, and you try to bury the pipe in all the places you can, all those things, but you still deal with freezing water. So that's probably why, if I had to guess, why he decided to have one drilled. But he was really worried about whether or not it would be good tasting water or not, because water was really important to him, and he believed in the health of drinking water, for your health. And so I remember how happy he was when turned out it was really good.
Oh yeah, it's real good water. I remember him telling about during a real cold time going up the creek, and most of the pipe was just running along top of the ground, and it was a long ways up in there. In order to get the height to get what you needed to get it to the house, it was, golly, that's probably half a mile up in there from the house. And during a real cold time, it'd freeze, and he would go up through there trying to find the froze spots and build little fires next to the pipe, multiple fires all the way up through there trying to thaw it out. That would get old.
Yeah. And I remember it was probably in the late 70s that it may have been after, but I think it was late 70s. Yeah, me and Paul, there was a really cold winter where it did that the whole time. It seemed like it was just a constant thing. And Paul and me thought that was real fun, because we'd go with him and we'd play in those fires. And then when he would uncouple the pipe and once you did unthaw part of it, then you could blow out the chunks of ice. And he'd blow those out, and that was just like we thought that was like popsicles. And of course we'd get them and try to hold, it's cold, but try to hold on to them and suck on them and play in it and play in the fires, and we just thought that was the best fun. And probably that same year, somehow we burned accidentally. We, of course, didn't know in the middle of the winter, but we burned poison oak, and Paul got poison oak.
Yeah.
And that was in the lake, because that was right when Mama Marie, right before she died, 'cause she was in the hospital. But Pap he knew it was poison oak, and it got real bad, so he took Paul to the doctor, to the local little pediatrician, and told her that he knew it was poison oak. He just needed something to help him get over it. And she said, "No, it's not poison oak. You can't get poison oak in the winter." And he said he knew it was, but it said she left the room, and her nurse said, "She's crazy. That's poison oak." But anyway, the reason I remember about Mamaw is because then he went to see Mamaw in the hospital at Copper Hill, and he took Paul with him, and the doctor down there looked at it and said, "Yeah, it's poison oak. If you burned it, of course you can still end up with it." So he gave him whatever it was to help him get over it. But yeah,
I've not had poison oak in decades.
I've never had it but one time that I
That's
remember.
all I've ever had it. I had it really bad one time, and then I've never got it again that I'm aware of.
And I had it so bad that I had to go to the doctor.
Yep.
It was terrible.
I think I did too. I don't remember. I was so young. I remember we went to the beach and I had it, and it was just so miserable. And Mama was slathering that calamine lotion all over me. And I didn't want to leave the room because I had shorts on. It was so hot, and I was just pink all over from that stuff, and I was embarrassed.
Oh, gosh.
And and I don't reckon after that I never had it again that I can remember. And I know I've been in it and around it and all over it.
Granny is like allergic to it pretty much, and Steve and Paul both get it really easy. And Daddy always said the reason I didn't get it was because when Granny was pregnant with me, she had it, so he thought that gave me an immunity to it. But I was probably, when was that, Corey and Katie? I mean, how you remember, Matt? I was still cleaning houses for people, so it was before I went back to the college, a long time ago. But I was helping a lady in the spring of the year, and I was helping her clean out her flowers and her flower beds and stuff, and it was really, really overgrown, and I was just getting, pulling weeds and stuff, and then carry them in my arms like this to deposit them off at the edge of her yard. And then I probably would have been all right, but then I left that house, and I went to where I was helping her do that, and then I went to clean a house. So then it was like, 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours later before I come home and took a bath and cleaned up and all that. So that's where I got it, was in my arms. I had scars for a long time. I tried every homemade remedy there was, and nothing wouldn't help it. I tried the calamine lotion, and I went to, of course, what I'd always do, go to Daddy and say, do you think this is poison oak? And he said, well, it sure looks like it, Tipper, but you've never had it. I was like, I know. So my brother Steve, he's like the expert poison oak because he gets it so often. Not so much now, but when he was working at the gas company and was putting in tanks and working around stuff like that. Anyway, he come up here and said, I heard you thought you had poison oak. And he looked and was like, that's poison oak. So I was like, okay. So I probably waited another day or two, and then finally one evening I told Matt, I said, I got to do something. I've just got to do something. So I went to the urgent care in Murphy, and that's when it was over there at the tag office over there. Anyway, I went in there, and wasn't nobody in there but me, and then I got seen real quick, and the doctor said, honey, you waited about a week too late to come. You should have come sooner. This is miserable. I was like, you're telling me.
Yeah.
So he gave me a shot and gave me some medication. Then it was, of course, things were different in those days. He said, I want you to go back by the emergency room and on your way home through Peachtree and stop, give me a prescription and go in there, and they'll give you some pain pills for this because this is terrible. I can't remember if I got the pain pills or not. I don't think I did, but I immediately, by the next day even, started getting better. I guess that was a steroid shot or something, probably. And that's the only time I ever remember having it. Comes some more thunder.
I've literally, since then, climbing trees, deer hunting with a tree stand, I've literally had a little saw with me and grabbed a hold of the vine that big around and sawed it in two, and all the dust fell in my lap. I don't know if you can catch it that way. You may not be able to. But I've had that stuff all over me since then, and I don't get it.
I think some people are just more prone to it.
Right.
So we started on the poison oak talking about Pap and the well. That would get awful aggravating, and I'm sure that's why I got the well, because I wouldn't want to do that every winter, especially if you got a family and the kids need water and the wife needs to wash clothes and dishes and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't mention about the septic tank. So having your own septic tank, that is, pretty much when your house is built, the county oversees all that, and there it is. But sometimes you do have trouble with it. People end up having trouble, especially after years go by. Maybe it gets filled up and people have to empty it. Pap and Granny's has kind of give trouble over the years. I can remember even when Papa Wade was still spry enough that one time something, I don't remember what, but something was wrong with it. And I remember that they uncovered it, and I can remember Papa Wade being in it. So I don't know what he was doing. I don't know how he stood that, but those tough old guys like Papa Wade didn't even. Yeah. You could do that too. Don't even think about it. Anyway, but
I wouldn't want to, but I probably could.
And you would before you paid somebody if you had to. Anyway, so sometimes you have trouble with them, maybe filling up or something. There's companies that would come and pump it for you and pump it all out. And of course, you get plumbers or somebody to come and make sure it's plumbed right if you had that problem. But other than that, you don't really, if everything works like it's supposed to.
Yeah, there's just no maintenance to them until something goes wrong.
Right,
A lot of times the field lines out away from the tank where the liquids get stopped up, and then don't allow the liquid to flow out, so the liquid fills up in the tank. and it can't leave the tank, and then it begins to back up into your house, and then you have to have it pumped. But it's going to do it again until you get the fill line fixed.
So Matt's right. Unless you got a problem, usually everything's working okay.
And that's pretty common because people, especially around here, people will build a house in such a tight little place because they're trying to sell as many lots as they can get sold, and barely can get enough room to get a septic system in, and then they will end up running the fill lines under the driveway. Well, a few years of driving over them, they'll collapse, and then they quit working, and then you got to have. I mean, you can have it pumped, but the problem's still there. It may take a while to refill, but it's going to happen again until you fix that.
Yeah. And then the other part of the question, I guess, is connected to the septic, which is something foreign to me and Matt, is if you lived in a place where you had, especially in the, what do you call, more urban areas or even city limits or whatever, where you had city sewer, is that how you say it? Then maybe you have a garbage disposal, and that's what you do with your scraps, like scraps of stuff. So that was the other part of the question. So if you don't have that, what do you do if you have a septic tank? I don't know. Can you have a garbage disposal with a septic tank? I guess, yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just putting more stuff in it.
Yeah.
But we just have just like all the country folk around here, just have a scrap pile.
So for talking about scraps, so any kind of thing that you could compost that. And you can have a compost pile, and there's all kinds of videos about how you should do it this way or do it that way. Me and Matt don't do it, so we don't do it the correct way, I'm sure, so you can't look at us. We just pile it in a pile and add chicken stuff to it, and, leaves and plants and whatever, and it's just all in the same place. And then also, if you have animals, like we have chickens, the chickens will eat a lot of that stuff. And the chickens, people don't realize it, or maybe some people don't want to feed their chickens that, but chickens would eat meat too. They would eat stuff like that. Chickens will eat anything pretty much.
Just about anything. There's a few things they want to eat, but not much.
And then if you have hogs and stuff like that, of course, that's something you could do with it. Of course, nobody likes food waste. You don't want to just waste all your food or anything. You should always be concerned about that. But sometimes that just happens, and you do have food waste. Well, if that happens to us, that's what Matt's talking about, the scrap pile. So, somebody still eats it, whether it's the possum passing by through at night, or the coon, or the neighborhood dog, one of the dogs from the hauler. Somebody still comes by and eats it.
And occasionally a bear. Yeah. So that's just how me and Matt look at those type of things. That was a good question though, because we never lived anywhere where we didn't have the septic and the well, so it's totally foreign to us to think about it that way. But I can imagine if you was somebody that had only had like city water and sewer, then you never had to worry about that. They just did it all, and you didn't have to think about it. So it was great question, and I'm sure y'all have got thoughts about it too. Please leave them in the comments and people can read them, but that's pretty much what we think. Yeah.
I will share one other thing. In one of my recent lives, I said that I noticed, me and Corey had, that you can no longer thank people if they send you something on Amazon. There's usually a little QR code that you can scan. It'll take you to a place where you can send a thank you note if somebody was nice enough to send you something on Amazon. And the last week or so, I'd noticed that it doesn't work anymore. There's nothing there. So someone, thank you so much, had sent me a message to tell me that they had seen on the news, their local news or whatever, that there was a scam going on now where people are sending you something, you didn't order, it looks like a gift, and it tells you to scan, and then you could thank the person. Not necessarily from Amazon, just in the, sending you something. And then you scan that, and somehow it's some kind of scam where it gives them power over your phone, which is terrible. And then they have all your information and all that. So they were saying they bet that's why Amazon has took that down, and I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's why you can't no longer do it. But I thought I would share that because I thought, gosh, the scammers, they just come up with one way and another to try to scam you out of your money, scan you out of your stuff.
Yeah.
So beware, I guess, of that if someone sends you something and and you don't know, where it come from. Usually with the ones that, like the gifts that someone's kind enough to send us, it will say, Matt, I hope you enjoy this. Heard you needed the the things on his glasses there, or something like that, or this is for Granny. I want Granny to enjoy this. So it's like we know that it's one of you sending it. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. And then also, speaking of scammers, a lot of you follow along with our videos. You know about the scammer that was stealing our videos and putting them on Facebook. And thanks to you, we helped with all your help. We stopped them from doing that. The pages are still there, but there's no videos on them. But one of our Appalachian friends, the Appalachian Storyteller here on YouTube, he contacted me yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, anyway, to tell me that he had noticed there was a TikTok page that is appearing to be me. So he wanted to make me aware of it, and he knew it was likely a fake because they had done it to him. They'd also done it to Donnie Laws, and all of the little, like the graphics they're using was exactly the same. So it was obvious, like the same person is doing this to, and maybe even other people that talk about Appalachia here on YouTube. So I'm not on TikTok, not personally, not as the Celebrating Appalachia, nothing like that. I have filed a copyright infringement and contacted them and said this is not me. They've even stole my face. My face is on there, done the same thing to him and to Donnie Laws. So if you're on TikTok, beware that that's not, just to make sure that it's actually who you're following is the person. So, when we went through the Facebook thing, people ask, and I'm sure you would be curious now, well, what's the upside of that? Why are they pretending to be you? Well, if they amass a large subscriber base of followers on TikTok or Facebook, and then they get a lot of views for my videos or the Appalachian Storytellers or Donnie Laws, we've done all the hard work, then they can make money. They can be monetized. And it's not even us. They're stealing our likeness, ourself, our literal faces and stuff. But our hard work, our thoughts, our creativity, all that thing, which is copyrighted under, what we're doing here on YouTube. So that's why they're doing it. If they could just be sneaky but gather a huge subscribership on TikTok, then they could be monetized on there, and they're just using your work to get paid. Same thing on Facebook. Again, crazy scammers.
They're trying to make money without having to do any work.
Without having to do any work.
The way of the world nowadays, I guess.
Anyway, beware of that. And if you've not visited the Appalachian Storyteller, you will love his videos. They are fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Very interesting. So well done. And then also the same. I've talked about Donnie before. Donnie's are the same too. So just be aware of that. And, then it makes you wonder, like, I don't want to be on TikTok. I'm not interested in being on TikTok. I shared in the Facebook saga thing that I had a Facebook page for Blind Pig and the Acorn for my blog for many, many years. But since my community has kind of moved to YouTube, of course, still my blog, that's a huge, part of what we do is the blog. And we have people there who've been supporting us since 2008. But it's just the blog and YouTube now. So as far as that Facebook page goes, I've not even posted on it since last Christmas. It was a Christmas song the last time, because I just found like I can't support all of these, and I like to communicate with people, and I can't do it all. So I just kind of let that one go. Well, then that's probably another reason why it was easy for them to do that. Anyway, all that to say, I don't want to be on those places, but then it makes me think, well, gosh, I mean, do I have to? Do I have to just put a page so it's like the official Celebrating Appalachia channel, and this is me? It's almost like, do you have to do that? So then you have a way to show, if somebody is stealing your content, then you can say, here's my real channel. It's easier. Like with TikTok now, I don't even have an account. Whoops, Matt kicked the camera. I don't even have an account with them, so I can't say, TikTok doesn't know me, in other words. Not that they would know me even if I had an account, but it's almost like, would you have more standing if you did? Like I said, I don't want to be on TikTok. I don't want one more thing to worry about. But then I'm like, am I going to have to? Am I going to have to make like the official Celebrating Appalachia page on everything there is just to keep scammers from scamming. I'm sure they went through and looked and thought, oh, well, all these 3 Appalachian channels, and they do this to other people too. It's not just that they're doing it to us. They do it to all kinds of people. But here's, using us for an example, Appalachian Storyteller, Donnie Laws, and me, they all have a really great following on YouTube, and they don't have a TikTok page. Let's just steal their videos and pretend like we're them, and then we'll make some money, Anyway, frustrating, but all you can do is pray about it, and I'm so thankful our friend told us about it, and that we, doing like we did on Facebook, contacting them and telling them, and you have to prove that who you say you are. You have to do all the work of proving, even though these people are stealing your stuff. It's just so frustrating.
It is.
But anyway, I wanted you to be aware of that too. If you are somebody that's on TikTok, to be careful that it's the real person. And one of the clues about these that were doing it to us 3 anyway, was like they had stole the video, and then they had put like a white box at the top of the video with black text, and it was like that on all 3 of it was the same setup. In other words, they all looked just alike. And another interesting thing, all 3 of the pages said no bio, like they didn't have no bio, probably because they don't even know enough about us to make one up,
Right.
And on mine it was Celebrating Appalachia US. So I guess that was their way of trying to, I don't know if they're in another country trying to say like this is the United States, or if they're trying to like make it slightly different from Celebrating Appalachia, just to say, oh, well, it's different. Well, no, it's my face and my videos. Okay. So anyway, just have to pray about it and let the good Lord handle it. And he handled, with all of your help, thank you so much, handled the Facebook thing. Life's full of trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also full of wonderful blessings and goodness and love and beauty, and all the bounty that we got today, and all the love that you all show us, and the wonderful way you support us. And I hope that we entertain you and give you something back, and hope it works both ways. But that's wonderful too.
Yep.
So I guess Matt's come unfed with all of his hard work.
Yeah, I'm ready
running the chainsaw.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed coming along with us as we were trying to hurry up and get ready before the storm. Kind of before the storm of today, but really before the hurricane, in case it actually comes here. Is it a full hurricane yet, or is it still a tropical storm?
I've not looked much today, so
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
we don't
It may
know.
be by now.
But anyway, it's forecasted to be a hurricane, but even if it's just a tropical storm, trying to get ready for that. And we're always, though, really glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia. We appreciate all of you.